Let's talk about investment fears. The things that worry us most about investments. So we'll be looking at our investment fears in every angle. What stops you from investing, even investing 100 shillings? To discuss this very interesting topic, we're going to look at the world richest. And these are I've just selected four. That is Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Zuckerberg, and Warren Buffett. Jeff Bezos is worth 185 billion US dollars. That's roughly 20 trillion Kenya shillings. Bill Gates is roughly 15 trillion Kenya shillings. Warren Buffett is roughly 10 trillion Kenya shillings, and Mark Zuckerberg is roughly maybe 11 trillion Kenya shillings. We'd like to know, what did they do differently as far as investment fears is concerned? As we address this, we'd like to look at another case, the case of people who take fears. And one of them is a farmer. You can imagine every single day you take breakfast, you take lunch, you take dinner, someone has taken the initiative to go to the farm and put the seed on the ground and get the harvest. What are some of their fears? In fact, sometimes when they hold the seed, there's no rain, there's nothing. That's a challenge. Another one is a traveler who is looking at an aircraft approaching. And what are some of their fears when it comes to traveling? Some of them, in fact, every single month, an aircraft drops from the sky, you know. So when you're traveling, those are some of the things you look at. Another one is hiring a house help. I think you've heard of cases where house help kill children, they poison the owners of the house. House help, they steal from the owners of the house. They even go to the extent of stealing the husband. What fears do you have in the event that you hire a house help? So things to think about. Another one is getting married. When you're in a relationship, people will be like, mtaachana tu, you know, kamati ya roho chafu. And they'll be like, mtaachana tu. So what fears do you have when it comes to getting married or getting a relationship and all that? If we look at the successful people, some of the things they've overcome is investment fears. They have taken the decision that everything that you invest in must have challenges, but they go beyond those fears. And instead, item number two, we talk about the engagement of managers. Most banks, most other organizations, they engage managers, and the objective of the managers is to create for them wealth. So while you're busy looking at fears, others are looking at how to overcome the fears and create wealth. And they do so by focusing on solving problems as they create the wealth along the way. If you look at the poor, they mainly focus on investing in fear. In fact, their cup is overflowing with fear. If you talk to them, they tell you about fear. Don't invest. They only fear investment. So they invest in fear and have surrounded themselves with a lot of fear investment. They cannot even dare. You can imagine if our farmers did not take the initiative to go to the farm. We will not have breakfast, we will not have lunch, we will not have dinner, and we all die of hunger. You can imagine if you want to travel to the US and you fear aircrafts, you know, you can imagine if you want to have children and you cannot even dare carry a pregnancy. And you can imagine if you're a corporate lady and you cannot take the decision to hire house help. What happens? These are some of the issues we need to discuss. Whoever that advises you makes so much difference. And one of the, where I come from, people eat white ants. And something very interesting about white ants is that they have either to stay on the ground or they have to go up the sky first. So there was a time, we actually told this story by our grandparents, and they told us the story of a white ant, and it was seeking advice. And it sought advice from a hen. It also sought advice from another very interesting animal, that is the eagle. So the hen told the ant that don't dare go to the sky because you'll be eaten by the eagle. And the eagle told the ant, don't stay on the ground because you'll be eaten by the hen. At the end of the day, the ant had to take the decision that is best to eat, because when it's still underground, it does not recognize the female or the male until it flies up in air. That's when it can be able to tell that this one is a female, this one is a male. So if it stays underground, it dies. If it goes up to the air, it will be able to identify the other partner. They can pair up, and then they can make a family. So it had to take a very difficult decision, and that is a risk in itself. Another one is the decision that was taken by wildebeest when it was seeking advice from the two friends. And one of the friends is the lion, the other one is the Mara crocodile. And it asked the two friends, do I stay here when it's time for migration, or do I cross over to the other side? And the lion will say, no, don't dare cross the other side, because, the crocodile, they won't let you pass. And the crocodile advised the wildebeest that don't dare stay the other side. You'll die of hunger and the lions will eat you. So the wildebeest had to make a decision. And for thousands of years, wildebeests have been migrating. And that is what has sustained them and kept them alive. That's a decision, a very serious decision that they had to overcome. To address the issue of investment, one of the things that you have to look at is, if I have 100 shillings and I'm investing in the Rich Kids platform 5 shillings, you need to worry more about the 95 shillings you're left with. If someone is telling you, don't invest, you lose your money, tell them, I have 100 shillings, I've only removed 5 shillings. Don't talk about that. Tell me about the 95 shillings which I still have. Because 3 months down the line, if I don't invest the 5 shillings, I will not have the 100 shillings. If I invest the 5 shillings, I might just have to call somebody to tell me about the progress of the 5 shillings. So those are some of the difficult questions that you have to answer. If someone is advising you, oh, you lose money. People have been losing money. From the days of Jesus, he was surrounded by thieves. Thieves have been there. If you ask Bill Gates, he'll tell you thieves are there. They'll always be there. But making a decision to invest is the only avenue to a better tomorrow. So make that decision. Investment fears is a very interesting issue that needs to be discussed very boldly. And as we look at it at Rich Kids, we advise people to take the bold decision. Don't sit on the fence. Take the bold decision and make the investment with Rich Kids business. If you registered, please get in touch with us. These are our contacts. Let us work together. Let us make it a success. Please register for Rich Kids business. Thank you.